young age, I was always completely captivated by the world around me. Hours could slip by as I would carefully study the contours, shadow, and light shimmering upon every surface, from the bright reflections of a glass jug to the smooth curve of a lonely autumn leaf. Sometimes this intense focus could get me in a bit more trouble than intended, like when I'd stare too long at the beautiful lines of a stranger's face. My point is, the natural world proved to be a consistent source of wonder and inspiration for me. As Pablo Picasso once said, "The artist is not a special being, but a man sensitive to the world around him, and capable of translating its essence into a form that can be shared with others." Hello everyone, and welcome back to another video on my channel. If you're new here, my name is Tori and I'm an artist, writer, creator. I love finding new passions and doing a whole bunch of things on this channel. In this video, I'm going to go through all the art that I've ever created since grade 6 in a realistic style. Basically, we're going to go through in sections and we're going to see how my art evolves and how my style evolves and how I get better at doing different things and using different techniques. So we're going to start off with grade 8 and grade 9, grade 10, grade 11, grade 12, and then up until now. I'm currently 2 years out of school, so there's a lot of art to get through. This is not all the art that I've ever made. It's only specific pieces that I feel I tried to make realistic. So enough said, let's get into the video. So this is the file that I kept in primary school of all of my drawings. As you can see, it says drawings there. This has all of my artwork from when I was 11 years old and started to actually pick up drawing to when I was 13 years old and was leaving primary school. Let's have a look. So this here is my first ever drawing that I tried to do in a more realistic style. This I must have done in grade 6. It's not the greatest, but I copied it from a book that my mom gave me about how to draw realistically. These two sketchbooks, or the sketchbooks that I kept in grade 9, as you can see, this is the time when I actually really started to get way more into drawing and actually doing it as a hobby instead of just something that I did when I was bored in class. This one I did finish. So I have a house, which you can see here. A haunted house, I think. I was very much into the supernatural things. I remember doing these drawings from watching a TV show, and then I would draw what I'd see. It wasn't enough time for me to actually draw an accurate representation. This is a microphone drawing. I remember doing this while I was horse riding. Here's another one of my realism drawings. This I think was in grade 8, I believe. This one was definitely grade 8. I think this whole sketchbook was grade 8. Here's another one of my realism drawings. This is a part of my house that I decided to draw. It has since changed. Let's move on to the second one. This sketchbook, I remember drawing the front of it with Tipex in class. That was fun. Anyway, so I didn't finish this sketchbook, but I did do realism drawings in it. So this is again 2019. It's a copy from pictures that I took of myself at the time. This is with my cat Star, and then this is just a photo that I took of myself. You can see that I'm getting a lot more into shading, specifically with this, how things are darker and I'm actually getting the tones and texture sort of skin and eyebrows and things like that. Don't mind the smudges on this page just because of a creative design that I tried to do on this side. As you can see, 20th of the 8th of 2019, I used to date my art, which is premium.
Nice.
Love that I did that. This is a lollipop, if you can't tell. I think I also used Tipex for the highlight, which is something that I used to do a lot when I was younger. For some reason, I thought it made things look better. Still getting into it. This is another one that I did. This is again of one of my friends in class, and I drew her. I actually drew this particular friend a whole bunch of times because I hung out with her a lot. Here's where I started getting into hands. Never mind what's happening on this page, I don't even know. So I drew a hand, and then again I was using Tippix for the highlights of the nails. It's not the best, it could be better. It's very flat. And then I painted these on because I thought I was cool. Here we go, another hand. As you can see, I really liked drawing hands, and I'd obviously done this in class and just decided to stick it into my sketchbook. Here is another realism drawing, again of that same friend that I drew previously. She had really long hair. It was really fun to draw her hair. Here's where I did some realistic water droplets. Don't mind the jellyfish, that was just something else that I was doing at the time. I did with pastel, and then I did with graphite, although I always seemed to prefer graphite over pastel. These two pieces here I believe I did in grade 8. This is one of my friends at the time. This is a drawing of me. As you can see though, in this image I did obviously copied from a picture that she'd sent me, but for this one I made up the body, which is why it looks so disproportional to the face. Again, the style isn't explicitly realistic, but you can see how I was getting into shading and putting little pieces of shadow where they should be to create the correct effect to make the piece look more realistic. So this here is another example of a realistic drawing that I copied from a picture. Also one of my friends. I was getting a lot more into realism, and I remember one of my favorite things to draw was hands and hair at the time. So you're probably going to be seeing a lot of hands and hair. These two pieces here are also from grade 8. This was supposed to be of one of my friends. As you can see, it didn't come out the best. And this is a teddy bear that she always used to keep at her door, which I also decided to draw. This is my sketchbook from grade 10 when I actually started to take art as a subject. I took art as a subject up until matric. There's a lot of realism in this book. So we're starting off right off the bat with some realistic, to an extent, drawing. And then here we have feet drawings. Which I was told I had to do, and I drew a plant. I wasn't allowed to shade it, I was only allowed to do line. Here is learning a bit more about the different techniques that you can use to shade. So here are two drawings of highlighters that I did. I'm still quite proud of the way that these came out. As you can see, I used two different techniques. I used scumbling and I used cross hatching. This is where the beginning of me loving drawing reflections came from. And then this is just a worksheet that we were forced to do. Here is a drawing of a shoe that I did. I really still love the way that this came out. So as you can see here, I'm getting a lot more into the details of drawing things, the light, the shadow, the line, the curvature of things. And here is a realistic bow. Then here are some realistic drawings that I did of pictures that I took. I loved drawing this desert rose, one of my favorite things. This is the final piece that I chose to do. We had to do a painting of it for our final piece, but we also had to do a pencil drawing of it for the final. So this is my pencil drawing of the piece that I had. This is a drawing of a beetle that I did for another project that I had to do in grade 10. I chose the Picasso beetle because I thought it was fitting for the subject that I was doing. Here is another example of a realistic drawing that I did. This one is never finished. However, I did do a final picture of a garlic for my grade 10 final exam. And here's just a random drawing of an eye that I did. This is much later in the sketchbook. I think this was when I was on holiday in grade 10. And here's just some drawings that I did for fun. So these are a whole bunch of my friends. I will be blurring out their names. This one's me, and this is my current boyfriend that I drew back in grade 10. Really love this page. I do like the elephant as well. I think it's a very specific style, and it was realism to an extent. This is the drawing that I did for grade 10. It is a garlic, if you can't tell. And I remember I spent 6 hours on this artwork. So this is my grade 11 sketchbook for art. So here is some small sketches that I did of people just to get line and whatnot. This was the beginning of grade 11. And here are some realistic drawings. I'm glad that my camera seems to think that that is a face. Our first project for grade 11 was doing a creative self-portrait. So I'll show you the self-portrait that I drew in the end. It's quite a big piece of art. Another drawing of just the other half of the photo that was on the previous page, and then I had to draw myself with an animal that I felt I related to, so I did myself with a flamingo. I really do like the way that this piece came out. And this is just a whole bunch of realistic drawings that I had to do for a storyboard. Obviously quite a depressing one. Again, another storyboard, and then an up-close sketch of something from the storyboard. And then, of course, I had to do Batman because I thought I was cool. And then I did the moon, which didn't come out that nicely, but... And yet another storyboard, and I did water. As you can see, I did have a big love for reflection. Here's a realistic drawing that I did in one of the holidays of grade 11, I believe. Here's a drawing that I did for my Instagram page way back when. I was obsessed with anatomy at the time. I loved drawing skin. Then we have here a realistic drawing of a candle that I did. I also did it for Instagram, but I don't think that is still up on my page. This is my final drawing that I did for grade 11. This also took me 6 hours. And I did reflections and basically garbage. I remember drawing this. I remember having a lot of fun drawing this one. This is the final piece that I did for my grade 11 portraits. This piece took me over 24 hours to draw, and it's drawn to life size. She is literally about as big as I am. These are my two sketchbooks that I did for grade 12, and this one has a whole lot of stuff from the last 2 years where I've been out of school. Here's a realistic drawing that I did of a rose for one of my projects. Here's a study of rings and anatomy and my hand for one of my final pieces in matric. Here's a realistic drawing that I did for a study for one of my ideas. Here's a realistic drawing that I did of a snail, also for one of my ideas. That sketchbook did not get finished. And then this one I did for my final piece that went off to go and be graded for my finals for matric. So this was the sketchbook that I had to produce. We have a realistic octopus arm here, just some flowers. I'm not really allowed to show these drawings. I'll blur out what I'm not allowed to show. These drawings for a mock-up for my final. This is my final exam drawing for matric. I did reflections yet again. Now these are all drawings from the past 2 years that I have been out of school. And then these skulls I actually drew in grade 10. Oh, sorry. I drew these in 2023. Here's a page that I did for Instagram again. I like drawing flowers, as you can see. This is one of my favorite pages of this sketchbook. It's just a lot of anatomy, and I really enjoyed drawing. Here's more realistic drawings that I've done. And then, last but not least, the drawing that I did this morning. Yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching how my art evolved through the years. It was really fun for me to look through all of these art pieces. I might be going through some of the old pieces and trying to recreate them in a later video. Let me know down in the comments if you would like to see that. But for now, that's all the content I have for this week. Love you guys, and I'll see you in the next video. Premium turbo footage. Oh, he's cute. Say bye, Turbo. Steve.